Hey ISM family, welcome to the ISM show. In this episode, our director, Pastor Chris Stanley, has a conversation with Josh Heinzman and Cole Callies where they offer some encouragement to those serving in ministry in 2020. This year has been a rough one on each of us, especially those of you who are pastors or ministry volunteers, and we just wanted to give you some encouragement and perspective as we enter into the new year. If you're listening to this on your favorite podcasting app, whether it's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or what have you, be sure to subscribe, rate us and review us on Apple Podcasts, and share the podcast with a friend. And if you're watching this video on YouTube, be sure to hit the like button, the subscribe button, the notification bell, all the things so you can keep up with all the content that we're going to be dropping in 2020. Thank you so much for checking out the ISM show. Now, onto the episode.
Hey, what is up, everybody? It is time for season 2 of the ISM show. It is back by popular demand, and we are excited to have Cole and Josh with us back from school on Christmas break.
Ho, ho, ho.
After a crazy 2020 college opening semester. Everything going well for you guys?
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Great.
We survived. We survived. I assumed you passed your classes, right?
I did.
Good. I did too. You know, we're thriving.
Cole's looking for an opportunity, everybody, to brag about
he got
straight A's. That's
I got straight A's.
Setting it up.
I got straight A's. Oh, did you do well? I did pretty well myself.
Yeah, you know.
You want to know how I did? I got straight A's. I got
hi.
straight A's.
I didn't know you were there. My name's Cole Callies. I get straight A's. So anyways.
Hey, did you know he got straight A's?
I didn't. Cole, tell us a little bit more about that, will you please?
I haven't said a word yet.
Listen, man, we're proud of you. That's an incredible accomplishment.
Good job, man.
You need to be.
I'm not gonna do it, Josh. You're not gonna give me that handshake.
Got that boy.
This is jealousy,
Stupid.
Josh. Don't rob him of his victory.
You're right.
Some people are athletically gifted. Some people are intelligent. Some people are both.
Okay.
All right.
Hey, so Momentum just ended. Momentum tour. How'd that go?
I thought it was absolutely amazing. We hit 5 churches all across the state. Momentum looked a lot different this year, but it was a ton of fun. You know, one of the things that I noticed this year, especially with our youth pastors, is that there's just been a lot of discouragement. Yeah. 2020 has been really tough. I think it's been one of the toughest years of youth ministry, if not the toughest year of youth ministry that I've ever seen personally, that I've ever experienced, that I've ever witnessed. I know that it's absolutely incredibly difficult for the people who have been on the front lines of youth ministry as well. And the reason is because you've just seen such a decline in participation. You've seen such a decline in numbers. And because of that, I think a lot of our youth pastors have gotten really discouraged. But one of the things that I saw at the Momentum Tour is even though there's been decreased numbers, what I'm seeing is an increased hunger in our students. It's like every tour stop that we went to, the students were just pursuing God with just this abandonment. And it was absolutely incredible to watch and experience. It was different, but it was beautiful in its own way. And I think it's really important for our youth pastors to understand something in this season, that even though that you're seeing decreased numbers, you should also be seeing increased hunger and increased pursuit. I think we can be discouraged by the people who have left, but I think there needs to be a time when we are also encouraged by the students who have decided to stick around through all of this. These kids who have stayed committed and who want to charge the hill with you, the ones who stuck through it all and want to continue to see your youth ministry grow and flourish and to see your community reached. You know, there's this moment in 2 Timothy where the Apostle Paul is writing to Timothy, and Paul is focused in 2 Timothy 4 on who left, right? And he's writing this paragraph, and he's writing this letter to Timothy, and he's like, Timothy, Demas left me. Like, he loves the things of this world more than he loves pursuing God. Crescens has left me, Titus has left me, and Paul is just talking about who left. And you can actually see and feel this discouragement in Paul. But like there's this moment where there's this shift in what Paul is saying. And he's saying, but you, Timothy, I have you and I have Luke. And it's crazy because there's this shift in Scripture while Paul is writing from who left to who's left. And I think as youth pastors, we need to make that same shift too. We can't keep focusing on who left. At some point, we need to start focusing on who's left, especially in this season. I think 2021 is going to be the year where we are really discipling who's left, and then we can shift back to who left. We need to disciple, and we need to pour into the kids that stuck with us, the ones who were committed, and the ones that stuck by our side, and we need to charge the hill with them. Yes, I understand where you're coming from. We've lost students. We've lost people from our churches and from our ministries in 2020, but you also retained some as well. Think about those students in this season. You need to take that shift like Paul had, where he was focused on who left for a while, but then he shifted to who's left, and then he started saying, okay, this is how we're going to proceed with ministry. And I really think our youth pastors need to hear that, and they need to start focusing on that. Like it's one thing to be discouraged for a season, but you need to see the encouragement in this season as well. Youth pastors, what can you do with that group of students who stayed committed and who are still with you? What can you do with those 5 or 10, 20, 30 kids who stuck around and said, you know what? I know this has been a difficult year. I know there's been social distancing. I know youth ministry looks different, but I still want to come here. I still want to hear from God. Like, what can you do with those kids that you know aren't pretending, that you know want to be a part of what you have going on? They bought into your vision. Can you be encouraged by that? I know we went through a season where we were focused on who left, but can you start focusing on who's left? You might be seeing decreased numbers, but I believe that you're going to enter a season where there is increased hunger. Because of that increased hunger, I believe that you are going to be able to set a foundation for greater things in the future. And God's going to be able to use your youth ministry and the students who stuck with you to charge the hill and to win your community in ways that you haven't seen before in 2021. So, I mean, what do you guys think about that? Like, do you feel that too? Do you feel like there's been like discouragement that needs to shift to encouragement?
I mean, yeah, I would say, yeah. I mean, in the world we live in and like just the culture we are in, like it seems like if you aren't the top, you don't have the biggest church, you have the biggest youth group, like it almost like seems like you're pointless or like not worth a lot. And so many people like out of school or out of master's commission, whoever you go about going into ministry or just like jumping in, they always want to be a part of the biggest one. They always want to jump in at the highest level that they can, when really, like, I mean, sometimes we just need to start small. Like, it might be a small youth group, but I mean, those are going to be the kids that help build and like that real culture is built with, and just things are different. I mean, yeah, I would say that there is comparison, but I mean, we're not called to compare. We're not called to look at someone else and be like, man, I wish I could be like that. I wish I could have this or I could have that. I mean, the Lord created us for uniquely in our ways for purpose and for reasoning, and then I believe that in that same way, He created us for the ministry that we're walking into for that same reason.
Yeah. Cole, what do you think, man?
I totally agree with you. I do think that there has definitely been a bit of discouragement. I know, because I stay in touch with a group of guys from Uncommon here in my hometown, Bethalto, and or at least a few of them, and I just hear how like they've felt discouraged with everything going on. Like they hate being stuck in home. They hate being online. But what's so cool to see is that they're still going. Yeah. Or they're at least trying to keep up with it in some way. And I think that in and of itself, like they're pursuing and they're trying. They're going after the littlest thing that they can possibly get out of youth group, and that is something I believe God is honoring, and that He's continuing to work in them. He's like continuing to feel that hunger within them. Yeah. But it's definitely been encouraging for me just knowing that they're still going after it, because I do think about them a lot, and they're a huge part of my life, and they take up a huge part of my heart.
Yeah.
So it definitely encourages me just seeing those guys still going, because I've heard stories of other people that have fallen off, or
Yeah.
there's other people that have talked about leaving, and while that's disheartening, I still can count on my boys to continue going after
That's right.
God with everything that they
That's
possibly
right.
can muster.
And I think that's where we need to just kind of like end this season of encouragement. You know, when I left Master's Commission and I went into youth ministry, I mean, my desire, my heart was always to have something big. And now my heart is completely changed. It's different. I don't know if it's just been experience in youth ministry. I don't know if it's spiritual maturity. But now I'm not interested in inheriting a culture. I'm interested in creating a culture. I'm not interested in big. I'm interested in building. You know what I mean? And I think we're entering a season where we get to create the culture, where we get to build instead of worrying about being big.
Yeah.
And that means we get to build up students. We get to build up ministry culture. And from there, we can start creating this foundation where we can start adding numbers, where we can start seeing things that are healthy. I don't think the discouragement is totally out of line, because healthy things grow. And when you see students that you've been investing in and pouring into just kind of walk away at the first sign of trouble, it's disheartening. And I get that. That is extremely real. But there has to be a moment where this shift takes place. Like, you can't stay in the land of discouragement. You have to shift yourself into encouragement. You have to start seeing the good that has come out of 2020. Yes, students have left, but students have also stayed. So are you going to keep focusing on the students who have left? Because if you do, it's going to have to be at the expense of your most committed students, the ones who have stayed. So all I'm saying in this is, yes, 2020 has been a very difficult year. And you're not alone in that. It's been difficult for all youth pastors and all churches. A lot of us across the board have seen that numerical kind of decline. You've seen a disinterest in church life because people have been trying to preserve their own lives. But you have also seen a committed few that have stuck around. And I just want to challenge you to think, like, what can God do with those students who stayed committed and who stuck with you, right? Again, Paul was saying, Demas left me, Crescens left me, Titus left me. I'm all alone, but I have Luke. And Timothy, I have you. Let's get it, right?
Yeah.
So who are your Timothys and who are your Lukes that stuck around? Because I promise you, if you pour into them, then you can use them to go and get the ones who left. Let's start focusing on who's left, the committed ones. And then after a season, let's turn things back around and go after who left. Maybe this is a season of discipleship. Maybe this is a season where we can just bring it all back in, and we can really start to evaluate where we're at in ministry. And maybe for some of you guys, you can finally enter a season where it's not a culture that you've inherited. Now you can actually start to create the culture in your youth ministries as well. I think this is a golden opportunity for that. And I just want to encourage each and every single one of you that are out there. If you felt discouraged, know that you're not alone. Like, you're not alone in ministry. And even the Apostle Paul felt that pinch, when he was in prison towards the end of his life. But even Paul knew that he had to stop focusing on who left, and he had to start focusing on who's left. And when you start focusing on who's left, a season will come when you get to go back after who left. So be encouraged, create a culture, build a foundation, disciple those kids that are still there like you have never discipled them before, and watch God do some incredible things in 2021. We love you guys, and man, we can't wait to see you on future episodes of the ISM show, where we're just going to be encouraging you really quickly. All right? Love you guys. Bye.